Hi, I'm Cindy from Your Kids OT. Thanks for joining me here today as we look at play using sensory trays or sensory bins and helping your reluctant child to explore them. A sensory play is an engaging way to encourage your kids to have hands-on learning. As occupational therapists, we love to use sensory play as this is how children learn. They learn about their bodies and they learn about the world around them. Sensory trays or bins, I think in America bins are containers, have been a popular way to bring different textures and experiences together for children. Sensory trays are examples of open-ended play. This means there's no beginning, middle or end. It encourages children to explore, to experiment, to feel and touch and move their fingers and their hands, even their feet or other parts of their bodies. So think about traditional sandboxes or water trays. These are examples of sensory trays or sensory bins. Kids can spend hours exploring these different textures and different actions. They can experiment with digging and pouring and splashing and poking and use their bodies in different ways. Today I want to show you some more sensory tray ideas. You can use food items such as flour, rice and salt. However, in this current climate where we know a lot of people are struggling to put food on the table, I'm going to show you some non-food varieties of sensory trays. The first tray I want to show you is dirt with leaves and some gum nuts that I have. This is definitely one for the outside, and you could add some pebbles, a small spade, a digging fork or even a watering can. This sensory tray just has some shredded paper and some tongs and tweezers, as well as some Easter egg treats, perfect for this time of the year. Depending on how much paper you have, you could encourage your children to just forage through the paper to look for the treats, or they could use the tongs to move the paper out of the way, or the tweezers to move the paper out of the way. Tongs and large tweezers are a great way to encourage and build hand strength. So encourage your children to use their thumb and index finger, maybe their third finger on top, whilst tucking away those other fingers, and resting the tongs or tweezers in this part of the hand, which is called the web space. So diving for those Easter eggs. And you might want to use a sensory tray and just change up the filling or the thing that they look for each time. So Easter eggs could easily be swapped out for parts of a puzzle or parts of a game. So you might set it up on Monday with Easter eggs, and Tuesday it might have these little parts of a potato head man that you can look for. And obviously it will depend on how big your tray is to start with as to what sort of things that you're going to put inside. This sensory tray has packaging peanuts and buttons that children can dig around for and find. Oh, they're slippery. See if we can find one. Perfect for toddlers with the high contrast colours, but you might want to switch this out for older children and throw in some sight words that you could bury in there that children could then look for. And they could read the words, they could write the words, they could find matching words. This sensory tray is full of pom-poms and little plastic Easter eggs. Again, a perfect one for this time of the year. So encourage your child to use the eggs to scoop. You could scoop the pom-poms and pour them. You could try and find some matching colours. Scoop and join the eggs together. You could shake. The shape of eggs are a really good way to encourage fine motor skills, such as building the palmar arches of the hand. See, the shape of the egg naturally encourages that. There's a bit of movement with moving the egg around. These are really cute. They have lots of different faces on them. And they're inexpensive to set up. Sensory play doesn't have to be messy, but sometimes it can be. This sensory tray has shaving cream with plastic toys, and it will bring joy for some children, but bring anguish to others because of the texture of the shaving cream. It's definitely one that you could do in the bath or the shower for those who love to explore. For those who might be hesitant, you could try starting by just placing the items lightly on top of the shaving cream and asking your children to pick them up so that they don't really have to touch the shaving cream at all. You could ask them to poke with one finger and see whether they are happy to submerge the item. You could also use things like tongs where the child doesn't need to touch the shaving cream, or use something like a really long paintbrush. You could add food colouring to the tray and ask them to swirl the colours together. You could move to a shorter brush where they're likely to just brush up against the shaving cream. And then you might even want to use something really short like a toothpick where it's inevitable that their fingers will touch the shaving cream. Give your children a chance and let them guide you as to how much they actually touch the shaving cream, the sensory play. When your child can tolerate incidental touching of the shaving cream, then you can begin to submerge the toy partly for them to dig out, and then fully. Children will progress with their tactile tolerance and sensitivity at different paces, so they might just dive in. It can happen within a day, but for others it might take months. They might just start by using their fingers before they actually grab the shaving cream. You can also do a few things before you expose your child to the texture that they don't want to touch. You can try deep pressure activities such as throwing and catching a ball. You could try animal walks where the child is putting weight through their hands. Try rubbing their hands in a towel and asking them to rub their hands together before they even play with the sensory substance. Have a towel handy. I'm going to have it's a bit hard to show you here. Have a towel handy to rub their hands or hold their hands with the towel and squeeze when they've had enough of that texture. Can't show you very well with this camera. And maybe your child will tolerate the texture on their foot or their elbow or a different part of their bodies and may work up to their hands later. This last tray I have here is kinetic sand with glass beads and some shells and some stones. Some children will have the same tactile defensiveness touching sand as they do with shaving cream, or some might tolerate the shaving cream but not the sand, or vice versa. And you can follow similar tactics to what I described when I was showing you the shaving cream. So kinetic sand continues to draw my children into play. They say they're too old, but I've had this set up in my office for a while and they keep coming back to it. They love to explore the movement of the kinetic sand and the texture. Early on when I first started Your Kids OT, I did a comparison between kinetic sand and cloud dough. I'll link that article down below. I also wrote about 7 different invitations to play that you can do, that you could set up for children with kinetic sand. If you're interested in learning more about sensory-based activities and how they can be incorporated into your child's daily life, I've also written an ebook called Sensory Diet Activity Guidebook. It's a great one, especially for OTs and educators out there, to give you lots of ideas of how to incorporate sensory-based activities into your child's everyday life. So do your children enjoy playing with sensory trays? Have they got a favourite combination? Have you got a favourite combination? Thanks for watching and keep making learning fun for your children. Bye.